Hi everyone, Paige Evans here today to help you scrap an important moment in your child's life. Now, I have a 3-year-old son named Fox and an 18-month-old daughter named Jane, and they get along pretty well, but let's face it, most of the time they don't. So when they hug each other, it's definitely a moment that needs to be scrapped. So this paper in the new Style Board collection by Maggie Holmes for Crepe Paper was my inspiration for this layout, and the colors came from the mood board that 2Ps created for March. So I started with a Robin's Egg Blue cardstock base by American Crafts, and I used the paper as a template to create the little wedges or chevrons, arrows, whatever you want to call the shape that I'm creating. And I just marked on the pattern paper where the piece of paper needs to be cut, used a pencil, used my paper cutter, and I'm making about a 1/4 inch or 1 centimeter wedge. All right, I got my first piece. I'm going to show you a couple more times how I did this process just so you can get it down, and then I'll fast forward or just skip over creating the rest of them because it took me about a half hour to cut all the strips. So I'm going down to the next smaller size, again marking the top and bottom where it needs to be trimmed. And I'm making a lot of scraps from each of these cuts, so it'd be a fun challenge to see what layout I could come up with using the scraps. Again, making cuts almost all the way to the end, but not all the way, just so that I get the wedge. And one last time I'll show you how to make another piece. I'm loving the colors for this mood board, the pinks, the greens, the aquas. I just pulled papers from many of the new collections from American Crafts and Studio Calico and Crepe Paper. Okay, so here's the piece. So you're just going to use the paper as a template to create each of the wedges. And once you have them all cut, lightly adhere them down in place. Don't want to put them down permanently until you've pretty much got them all figured out. But next I'm going to sew over each piece of paper with my sewing machine because I love that quilted look. And that will keep everything in place permanently. Once everything is adhered, I erased the pencil marks and then stitched everything down. I'm trimming the excess strands around the edges. And then to create some dimension, the next step, hold on, okay, here we go, is bending and creasing the little paper strips and tearing them just a little bit. So it creates some shadows so it's not all flat. I like having a little dimensionality. Okay, so here's the photo of Fox giving Jane a hug. And I love these printables by Lisa Dickinson, or Blue Star Design. I just printed them out on white cardstock and trimmed them all out. I love this happy journaling card for the base. I want to tuck the photo underneath the H, so I had to trim around it. And I love just creating layers, so I've taken another journaling card that comes that's inspired from the mood board with these little polka dots, layering it in the center along with the flower die cut from Wilna Furstenberg. And basically I'm just playing with embellishments right now, trying to figure out what I want the center to look like because all these arrows are pointing right towards the middle. I'm going to stamp the date on this little tab printable, also from Blue Star Design. Stays-on ink is my favorite. Makes a perfect stamp almost every time. Again, more printables, more little die cuts from the Style Board collection by Maggie Holmes. I love them so much. Lots of colors that are perfect for this mood board. call this process just pushing paper around, just pushing it around until it's pleasing to the eye. Figured out the placement, so I'm sticking them down with my adhesive. The title is going to be Too Happy. Two kids, they're both happy. Here's a badge from the Style Board collection. Just gonna round things out right there. And I'm placing these mini alphabet stickers by Studio Calico. They come in every color under the sun, which is perfect, so you can always find a color to match your layouts. And I'm just using them to write the names of my kids, Fox and Jane, around this ampersand printable. The next step is to add some journaling. I got a new Uniball Signo white pen, and I like to incorporate the journaling into the design. So in between a few of the paper strips, I'm just going to write some simple journaling. You can read what I wrote if you want down below. And I'm mirroring the journaling that I wrote at the top down at the bottom. And for a final touch, what's a layout without some spray mist? So I'm just dropping a little bit around the journaling. Thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed watching and you're inspired to scrap a special moment in your children's lives.